firstly, I didn't enjoy writing at all. Secondly, I didn't enjoy commerce either. So when I was in my 11th standard and you're asked to make a choice between commerce and science, I wanted to take science, but as we know how families are, they're like, how will you earn money out of science, out of research, out of biotechnology that you are trying to opt for? So they're like, nahi, commerce le lo, CA karna, usme bahut paisa hai.
क्या आप भी लिंक्डइन टॉप वॉइस नेक्स्ट जेन में सिलेक्ट होना चाहते हैं या फिर ऐसे आर्टिकल्स लिखना चाहते हैं जिसे पढ़ना सब कोई पसंद करते हैं? Stay tuned for today's session. Hello folks, welcome to the series named The Placement Guide, where we help students to know about different career opportunities. Today we have a very special guest amongst us whose name is Radhika Bajoria. She is currently working in Resolut Partners and also a founder of Radically Yours company. She is also one of the youngest LinkedIn top 20 voices in the country and has 180,000 plus followers on LinkedIn. She was also selected into top 25 most influential women leaders by World Women LeadershipCongress in 2021 and was graduated from Narsee Monjee in 2020. Personally, I have been following her LinkedIn posts related to business and finance, which are really amazing. Thank you so much, Radhika, for accepting our invitation and coming up to the show.
Thanks a lot. I really like that punchy tagline in the beginning where you said in Hindi. And I think that is very attractive. I mean, इतना achievements मुझे अपने याद ही नहीं थे जितना आपने अभी बोल के याद करवा दिया है. So thanks a lot for mentioning about them.
So before we proceed, do like and share this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe the channel for more such videos. Let's deep dive into your journey, Radhika. So how did you develop your interest towards content creation coming from a commerce background?
Yeah, there's a huge story behind this. Actually, the answer lies in your question, which is that firstly, I didn't enjoy writing at all. Secondly, I didn't enjoy commerce either. So when I was in my 11th standard and you're asked to make a choice between commerce and science, I wanted to take science, but as we know how families are, they're like, how will you earn money out of science, out of research, out of biotechnology that you are trying to opt for? So they're like, nahi, commerce le lo, CA karna, usme bahut paisa hai. So I'm like, no, but my interest is in science. I don't want to go there. But sometimes you come under pressure and then so many people around you influence your decisions at a young age. That's what happened with me. But I have always been a rebel kid. So one week I sat in the commerce class and I said that ye mere se nahi hoga. I said ki I am going to the science class. Even if the college removes me out, it's fine. I'll join some other college, but I'll only do science for 2 years. I can't do commerce. So I dropped out of that and I did science. After 2 years, when I entered my graduation years in Bombay at NM, I wanted to again do biotech because I was in love with how we as humans function and how our nature is around us. But good sense prevailed. I thank myself that thank God I chose to do bachelor's in management studies and not biotech, because it really gave me the knack for research and for digging into some interesting stories of how businesses are built. But I actually didn't study finance there as well. I chose for marketing because I always had that in mind कि finance is very difficult. इतना numbers होता है उसमें कैसे होगा? And maths में तो of course people who are not good at maths, they always think that how will they do finance? So that's what I had in my mind as well. But I overcame it generally through internships. It all starts, coming over you when you go out in the world and see how people are working around and how they are, building businesses. So that's when I realized, okay, there is something that I am missing out on. Let me also get into that zone of learning and hustling. So I remember on one of the days I had attended this so-called boot camp for entrepreneurship. And while on my way back home, my friend was scrolling through LinkedIn and he was very active already on the platform. he was a regular guy posting on LinkedIn about different topics around crypto, NFT at a time when it wasn't even there. So I'm like, what is this? Tell me also about it. Let me also explore the platform. I've just made my profile because I was a part of the e-cell myself. And they just wanted you to make a profile, अच्छा लगता है कि college का kid, somebody working in the department has a LinkedIn profile, if not any other presence. So I made it, and I still remember my DP was really something that people put it on Instagram or Facebook, on LinkedIn, because I didn't know what the platform does and I wasn't even interested. But slowly and steadily, I realized that there is something interesting about this platform. So let me explore. So before directly jumping into the writing space, I said that let's see how other people are doing it. And I've always been interested in asking questions. So that's what I used to do in the comment sections of good performing posts. So I think that's how people started to recognize my name there, that I add some valuable inputs or ask something interesting. And I used to always, I remember DMing a lot of people who used to get traction. Ki, how do you do this? I mean, what you've written is very simple. It's not a rocket science. Still, how you're able to manage so many likes, comments, and other traction, because I mean, it's very superficial to say that likes and traction ke liye people come and write on LinkedIn, but that's not the actual case. But when you're a new person to a platform, all you will see is numbers, right? I mean, an investor will invest into your business if he sees money out of it, right? So वैसे ही just as a starter, I saw कि अच्छा चलो likes आ रहे हैं लोगों को, traction है, तो अपन भी कुछ try करते हैं. So I started, I didn't know anything about finance, like I told you. So I wrote something philosophical because that's what I knew of. And you know how people are, like कुछ नहीं आते तो philosophy बोल लेते हैं. So I also did that because I knew nothing. Then I slowly realized this is not what the platform is all about, and this is not what I want to do for a long term. I started reading newspapers a lot, and in the newspapers only I used to read about different businesses, but the news didn't interest me. What interested me was their story behind it. Ki how did they reach it to a level that they could create a headline in the newspaper? So I started writing about startup stories, business facts, and presenting news in a very crisp and simplified way that people started loving to read. So I think that is what helped me grow, I feel. And it always boils down to what you're doing, when you're doing, and how you're doing. So the timing where I started writing was very appropriate, because if I had started right now, I don't think so anybody would have read it, because there are so many people doing it right now. So at that time when I used to write, nobody was really summarizing a news content in a very simplified, interesting manner. So that, I think that got the eyeballs. And today also, like, as you progress in the journey, you realize that it's not the traction that matters at the end of the day, but the internal satisfaction that you get out of the research that you do, and finally you pen down a post. Because ideally one post really takes 1 or 2 hours. It's not easy to write. People think it's okay, I know the subject, I can write it down, but then when you start writing, you realize, shit, this is not something that people will like. And you also personally feel like कि क्या है ये? It's just a paragraph that you've written, but to make it interesting is very different. So yeah, I mean, that's how the journey has been so far. I've just been consistently writing for about 4 years now. And yeah, of course, hard work pays off someday or the other. So yeah, that's what my LinkedIn journey has been.
Yeah, that's really amazing journey. You have shared a lot of useful insights that would be really helpful to a lot of the new content creators who have just started their journey now. So what are some of the key skills do you think are required to become a good content creator?
I think one of the most important value, rather not the skill, is your focus. If you don't know what you want to write on, you will be always trying out different other things and spreading yourself too thin in a way that you'll only get jumbled and confused in what you're doing. And you'll be like, shit, I don't know what am I doing? Where am I headed towards? And when you don't see results, it actually demotivates you. So I think you should know where to focus on in terms of choosing your niche. I suggest that explore for a couple of months, but don't let that months stretch into years in a way that 2-3 saal se you are exploring only what to do. I mean, you have to be very quick because it's a very fast moving world. So like uh, I can't remember the name of the guy who said it's the survival of fittest. So, that theory applies here as well. if you can survive in this fast moving environment and change yourself and adapt, I think then you will be able to fit into the bucket. Elsewhere you will just, otherwise you will just, I mean, be like, why am I even here? What's the purpose of it? So yeah, focus, purpose, find your purpose as to why you're doing this, because even if you're good at something, if you don't know why you're doing it, you lose interest in it. So I knew that I am doing it because I feel redeemed at the end of the day. Ki, wow, I have written such a lovely piece where I have summarized maybe a 5,000 word article into 500 words. So that is what is a sense of appreciation that you get out of it. So that gift, the I mean, the theory of risk and reward should always have be in your mind. What are the risks of doing this and what are the rewards that you'll get out of it? So once you're clear on these two fronts, I think you'll be able to easily navigate through what your writing should be. And the third thing is of course practice, like everyone says. Unless you write, figure out, you'll not improve on your style. I mean, I changed my writing style till date because there are so many different things that you have to venture into, looking at what people are liking, what they're not. So yeah, I think that learning from your surroundings is also very helpful. So I think these are the 3 4 things that you should keep in mind while writing. And always drive inspiration from your competitors. Never feel envy, because the day you start feeling that, Arey, this guy's doing better than me, you'll lose. I mean, you just can't survive, because at the end of the day, writing requires focus. If your mind is towards the other person and how good that person is doing, I don't know how will you focus on your own writing. So yeah, these are the 3 4 soft skills that are really required for you. And of course, the other things you can build on if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, very true. Like having open mindset, having good focus, and other factors are really important. I think a lot of content creators make this common mistake that they just started writing about anything and everything. Sometimes they write some motivational post, then they write
Yeah.
some finance, then something related to achievements. Like they just keep moving from one place to another, like without
Yeah.
figuring about their audience and their skill sets. So how did you overcome your biggest challenge that you faced in your content creation journey?
Yeah, the biggest challenge is the writer's block, which any writer faces. What happens there is that you don't know what to write on. You're so out of topics that you feel like, "Arey, what next?" So I face that so many times these days. I mean, lately I've been facing that. I really don't know what to write on, because it happens in two cases: when you've read nothing and when you've read everything. So in both the cases, it becomes difficult to go for what to write on. But I think you can overcome that easily when you again know what is it that you are on the platform for. Go back to your purpose again and think that, okay, I write on business stories. Which are the businesses that are doing good in this environment? Is it the Indian snacking market, the edtech market, which has been talked about a lot, or the fintech space, which is having a lot of fast moving companies into it? So once you identify those businesses, you get into the stories of it. Then you see, suppose it's edtech, then you see which companies are doing the round in the market. It's Byju's. So how do you see कि Byju's पे भी क्या लिखना है? Then you look at the news section on Google. Then you see कि okay, so Byju में Deloitte hasn't signed off their audited reports. Why is that the case? Also, they were also in the recent talks that there was 800 million ka fundraise, but $400 was missing. So is that the topic that you want to go for? Then it really depends on your discretion कि तुमको positive story cover करना है कि negative, because negatives are more than positives these days. So that again is the last decision. So yesterday I was going to write a post on Byju's as well, but then I thought कि बहुत I'd almost written down 80% of it. And then when I was revisiting the post, I'm like, बहुत negative है ये. Am I really a person who wants to criticize so much? So it really depends on what kind of person you are, and then you write that content. So yeah, you overcome it when you channelize your focus on what you do. And yeah, I think you can figure it out. I mean, it's just in your mind at the end of the day. If you think that you can do it, you can do it. My talk, your talk, or anybody's talk is not going to matter at the end of the day. It's just on your individual capacity to overcome your fears.
Yeah, like having clarity on the purpose helps a lot to continue the journey, even in the darkest times. What are some of the perks one gets during their content creation journey as a byproduct?
Oh, there's a lot of it, and it depends on what kind of content you're creating. So these days, Instagram creators have a lot of perks that goes without saying. But when it comes to LinkedIn, there are limited and few. But I'm happy that at least it's upcoming in this space. So you get a lot of brand collaborations and deals from different brands, and that's the reason you also get to know about the campaigns that they do. They're so creative. For example, I'd recently done it for Dunzo, and their marketing campaign was so different that during the IPL match, they just displayed a QR code on the screen.
Yeah.
For 20 seconds, and people were like, is my TV crashed? Mera setup box kharab ho gaya hai, kya chal kya raha hai? So the reactions were hilarious. So when you become a part of this ecosystem, the content creator economy, you get to learn about how brands think, what kind of outcome do they want out of a campaign they're creating, and you also get to meet a lot of people around in the industry. For example, I got to connect with a lot of private equity and venture capital guys because of LinkedIn. And, it really makes it easier for you to establish yourself. In a normal conversations, you'll have to say 10 things about yourself, and then you might expect a person to reply to you. But LinkedIn talks about you, you just say, hi, I want to talk to you regarding this. It's fine. People will see your background on LinkedIn and they'll talk to you. So that's why people say it's very important to build a good profile so that the 50% of talking is already done. So yeah, networking, then brand collaborations are two main parts and rewards of what you get out of the journey on LinkedIn as a creator.
So can you elaborate more about the importance of networking and personal branding in today's world?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I mean, man is a social animal. That's been said for a lot of years now. And you can't live in silos. You have to come out of your shell and explore and see the world, because until you see that, you'll always think you're the best, or either you'll think that there's nothing to do in the world. So these are the two opposite feeling that a man gets. So in order to be balanced and perfect in whatever you're doing, you have to interact with a lot of people so that your mind is very active with ideas. You are energetic, you are hustling, and you're not just sitting idle. So I mean, it's not about just networking on social media platform, but even when you're going to the gym, you love doing the exercise because you're meeting so many people around, you're seeing the energy flowing. So I mean, it really boils down to the fact that we all need some people around us, otherwise nobody can live on a stranded island for 10 to 12 years. Even 10 to 12 seconds for some people is difficult. But yeah, I think it's very important in today's day and age, especially when you're building your own business. If you don't talk about it with a lot of people, do collaborations with them, also get your competitors roped in, I don't think so you will feel as confident as otherwise you would independently. So yeah, I think a lot has been said about the importance of it, and everyone realizes at a point in time. I mean, a child won't realize the importance of it, but an adult would. So it really depends on the timing of your life that you are in, and it's a feeling that you get by yourself. It's like it's like you're wounded by some maybe hammer, or by a thorn, and you realize it yourself. I mean, you don't need a doctor to come and tell you that this is the disease that you're facing, or this is the pain that you're going through. It's a self realization. So I think that people will realize on their own. So let them take their own time, and people who have already realized know the importance of it, so we don't need to elaborate on it.
So can you tell something about your Radically Yours initiative?
Yeah. So we started this with an idea that a lot has been complicated around private equity and venture capital when it comes to explaining the concepts and talking about different happenings in the industry. So the idea is that we are a knowledge based platform where we empower not just concepts in a dejargonized way, but also we want to uplift women's participation in this space. So we are coming up with a new initiative which will be launched soon, so you'll come to know about it, to make this happen. And apart from that, on the periphery, with the network that we create through our events and webinars, we help different startups, especially in the early stage ecosystem, get fundings from investors across the globe, not just in India. Because at the end of the day, our mission is to really empower this community from across the corners of the world, where people think that funding is not accessible to them or they don't know where to go. So we want to go into such areas and tell them that you've got a really good idea, you have a great team, don't worry about the funding, we'll take care of you. So that is what we are up to, with a very simple mission that we really want to help people out who have been facing difficulties in approaching investors. And we also do help out some funds. Funds also need money, right, to put into startups. So they either get it from different other funds which fund them, or from different LPs, which are known as limited partners, who fund you if they have good money back. So we do approach them as well for different funds which are up and coming in India and in abroad as well. So yeah, that's the broad idea about what we do.
Yeah, that's really a nice initiative.
Thanks.
So what is your biggest learning from the representative experience earlier?
Oh, I think the reason why I started on LinkedIn was also because of the representative, because it really taught me that this is what you should focus on. The infographics that you see today on my post are a result of my learnings there, because that's where I learned that what infographics actually are. I really didn't know about it until then. When I was 18 years or so when I joined representative, which was my friend's initiative. And I said, I know nothing about marketing, I know nothing about finance, please take me in and help me out in learning. And when you go out with the open mind, when you know nothing, that's when you know everything, because that's when your mind absorbs everything that comes your way, or everything that you look at. So that's what happened with me as well. I started reading a lot of newspapers. The representative was and is a platform where we used to churn out news on a daily basis. So newspaper reading was a habit. Like, I would skip my cup of coffee for that newspaper. And once I used to write, read the paper, I used to write a post. So that's what has given me the biggest push, I must say, in terms of writing on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Can you tell something about your work role at Resolut Partners?
Yeah, so I joined the firm through LinkedIn only, and I have to give credits to the platform there. I used to hire lawyers, being a non-lawyer, and I must say that the experience has been very fulfilling. I got to know about how human interactions are done on a professional level, because on a personal front, you learn about it in your college and school. But I only came to know of how to interact with people on a professional scale here. And it's very interesting to meet different people from across parts of India and see how they think. So today, now, after having so much of experience interacting with people, I can just look into their eyes and say how this person must be and what qualities will they bring on the table. So yeah, I think it's been one of the best experiences that life has given me so far.
So how should a beginner can improve his or her communication skills?
I think by communicating, I mean, communication can only get improved by communicating, right? I mean, if you have to improve yourself as a painter, you only do it by painting again and again, right? And learning different things from around your people. So yeah, I think it's important who you communicate with and what you communicate, because that's what sets the foundation for your learning. So again, what you're interested in, first start talking about that. And there's a club called Toastmasters, where they hold different kinds of elocution competitions and debates, where you can also be a part of. And once you start speaking publicly, you automatically get the confidence that you can speak in any hall or any auditorium for that matter. So it's just about those few tries that you do initially to set yourself up for the bigger games. And I think you can get started by being a part of these clubs, by talking a lot with your people whom you're comfortable with on a subject matter that you you hold yourself as an expert in. Because once you speak on something that you know of, you will definitely get the confidence that whatever you read on, you'll pick it up in a way that you can speak on it. So don't try to speak on something that you are not aware of, because if you do, you'll be like, shit, I don't know what to speak, I don't think I should speak at all. So yeah, that's the key. I mean, you're speaking now on the topics that you love, right? I mean, you love interviewing, so you're confident that you can do it, and that's how you're doing it. So yeah, I think that's the key. I mean, nothing else.
So mainly like getting out of that comfort zone is really very important. And once they get out by first painful tries, then it would become easier and easier as they still continue.
Yeah,
So,
correct.
so can you tell some resources which were helpful to you in your content creation journey?
Yeah, like newspapers are my morning cup of tea. So those, then Google News, they're a really good source of information. And because I write in the VC space, I follow VCC Circle, which tells me about the latest deals that are happening around. Then there's Business Standard, Economic Times, and Mint, where I study the latest happenings from across the world in different sectors and pick up stories from there. Then for inspirational stories, I choose Your Story, where I pick up startup founders stories from. And lately, I've been reading the Morning Context and the Ken, because they come up with really good investigative journalism pieces. And yeah, I think these are the sources. I don't read a lot because that again confuses you. So I've kept my sources very limited for that matter.
Yeah, so like Ken, Mint, and Your Story, these are also mine favorites, and they are really very amazing sources.
Yeah.
So any last message that you would like to give to all our viewers who wanted to start their journey into content creation field?
Yeah, I think the message would be that enjoy what you're doing, because places where you lack enjoyment, you lack the focus, and you also lack the determination to succeed in it. You don't have that desire. So if you're enjoying something, like if you enjoy eating chocolate, you'll be like, I want more and more of it. And you always look forward to having more of it in different ways and forms, right? So I think to build that desire, you really need to enjoy what you're writing on. And to know what to write on, I think you should really start reading a lot, looking around how people are doing, because that's how you get inspired. And yeah, lastly, just start somewhere at least. If not anywhere, just start with something to get that hand over writing.
Yeah, very true. Like अधिकतर लोग आजकल mainly outcomes पे focus करते हैं rather than the process. So like if one start focusing on the process and loving what they are doing, it would be really helpful to them to keep continuing that path.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Radhika, for taking out your time to share your learnings and experiences. It would be really helpful to a lot of the students. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for having me.